Hey everybody, it's 100 Visions Guy in flannel with a beard, here to show you about some way to avoid being the cowboy coder. What we're going to do is work on a local version of our WordPress site. I've done it backwards. I actually had all of my web design students make their websites first and as WordPress sites on a subdomain from a host that I have. And I realized that, we shouldn't be just working on the live site. We should be working on a local version of it. So I want to show you a great new software that I became aware of this summer called Local by Flywheel. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this dude right now for Windows. Oh, it's going to make me do all this stuff. So let me pause the video while I put in my credentials and come back. Okay, my download is starting. So let me just tell you the plan. So if you already have a WordPress site and it's live, if you're going to do any work on it, especially like adding themes, playing around with plugins, stuff like that, you really should have a local version of it and sync it between your local and your live site. And then, especially if you're going to be fiddling around with things like theming and adjusting your CSS, this way you could do all your work on your local. And what I mean by local is the computer that you have that you're doing your work on. That is local to where you're at. And then the remote part is the live website. So if I say local or remote, understand what I'm talking about. So we're going to use Local by Flywheel, and we're going to make use of the WP All-in-One Migrator plugin for that. So let me just let this download, and then we'll do this kind of like we're unpackaging toy. It's a toy to me, maybe not to you, but I like this stuff. Okay, so everything's downloaded, and I did this once before on another computer, so let's see how this goes. If you're a student of mine, you should see if you can do this without me having to log you in. There's a lot of websites and content programs that you can download in our computer lab without having to actually get my permission, or not get my permission, but get me logged in doing it. So, all right, we'll let this run. I'll come back. Here we have it. I'm going to go ahead and be a nice guy and turn on error reporting. And before you start developing your dream site, oh yeah, that's what I'm trying to do here. We just need to configure a few things first. We need to configure a virtual box and a host machine. So let's see how this works. So we're going to go ahead and try installing. This is where you might get blocked in our computer lab, and I might have to install it for you. I hope I don't. But even so, you should have a copy of this at home on your own computer if you got one. Do your work there. It's a great way. It's maybe the start of your web development career. That's right. Well, while it's setting up the host machine, I did want to point out that these Barnum's animals are actually a good source of protein according to the packaging here. Just thought I'd let you know. Still waiting. I'll come back when it's done. And this is where the fun begins. I don't know when it officially installed, but it's here now. So we're going to create a new site and see what options we have. So now the name you give this site, you're probably going to want to match the name of your live site. So I'm going to do one for my applied web design class. Okay, so I'm going to call it the Applied Web Design Course website. And advanced options, let's see what we have. We have a local site domain. Ooh, I like that. And then we have a local site path. I'm going to browse and just see where it wants to set it up. Sets it apparently up in right in my documents. I'm going to go ahead and say it's okay here. Create site from a blueprint. Apparently we can create blueprints. So do we want to use a blueprint? Do we not want to use a blueprint? Am I not using it now, or am I using it now? Who knows? I'm going to not check this, so I think I am using a blueprint. I don't even know what the blueprints are like. But notice here, this is going to be an important piece here. You want to see the domain here, because that's what it's going to set up on your browser. We're just going to click continue and see what else we can do. So, all right, so here's our environment. Now, a lot of sites will use lower versions of PHP and a different kind of web server, MySQL. I say we go with the preferred. It's going to be the most up-to-date for WordPress. It might be a different version of PHP, and hopefully that won't cause a problem when you migrate from one version to the next. You might want to see what version of PHP you're running on the live site. Let me go find out what we're running. Okay, so I'm on my cPanel here for my host. I'm going to look at the PHP configuration. See, right now system default is 7, and so if that's 7, that must be what we're using. So that's good to know. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do 7. If you're in my class, you can do the same. So here it says 7.2.9. I'm just going to go ahead and use that. And then let me go back to the site because it looks like I'm able to, yeah, I can use the 7.2. I'm just going to update and hope I don't screw things up. Haha. We'll see. We're back. Continue. WordPress username. This is where you're going to put your all of your information. I recommend you match what's on the site that's the live one. It's going to make it easier database-wise. You won't have to make any changes. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Do my password. And then, there we go. Now I'm going to click Advanced Options to see if there's anything else. It's not a WordPress multi-site, so I'm just going to click Add Site. And now it's going to do the 5-minute install from WordPress and see if it takes 5 minutes. It says 3:08 right now. I'll come back when it's done downloading. Okay, here we go. Apparently it used Node.js to install this stuff. So we got our server, PHP version. We can go view the site, see what it looks like. Here it is. Hey, yeah, looks right. I'll go ahead and log in, see if I can log in. Now, one of the things I highly recommend you do is when you go to log in, remember I told you it's important that you, when you set your password, that you match the password of your other site. One of the things I'm going to do before I do any migration and then make this reflect my live site is I'm going to check my login password to see if it's the same on the live site. So this is my local one. You'll see it's got this big long URL here, applied web design course website.local. So now I'm going to go to my live site and update that. So this is my live site, and you'll see it has a different URL here. And so what I'm going to try to do is log in and go ahead and see if it's using the same password I had from before. Okay, so this password is not the same. So let me try one other thing. And if that doesn't work, okay, that did. So let me make sure it's the same password. I might have got it wrong the first time. So I want to go into here. I'm going to log out and then log back in just to make sure. See if I have it right. Okay, it seems to work. Okay, so we seem to have the same one. Okay, so on my live site, this is the live site, and it's just an example I use for the class. I'm going to add a plugin, and so I'm going to just click Add New, and then I'm going to type in the WP all-in-one migrator. Oh, I just saw it for a second there. Popped up, and this is the one, so I'm going to install this. So you want to install this on both sites, both your live site and your local, because this is what's going to allow you to migrate content from one site into another. So I'm going to activate this one here, and then I'm going to do the same thing over here. So now I'm going to go to logins, or plugins, excuse me, add new, and I'm just going to type WP because I think it showed up at WP. Yep, there it is. So I'm going to install. In a moment, it's installing. Oh, there we go. Now I'm going to activate it. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to import the content on my live site into my local site. So the first thing I want to do is know what the settings are. The only thing I have to be careful of is the WordPress URL site address URL. So you see this address, and you'll notice it's the same on both of these. So basically, I want to take the settings from here. Here, I'll show you. So I want this to be replaced with this. And you'll see what I mean. So I copy that. So now I'm going to go to all-in-one migrator. I'm going to export because I want to take this live actual site and export it to the other. So what I want to do is I want to add a replace. So I'm going to find everywhere in the database for the live site that has example.chsweb.org and replace it with this, which is the HTTP applied web design course website.local. Now, so we're going to make a find and replace, and we're just going to export it as a file. So we have to let this thing prepare, and once it's done, we're going to download it, and then we're going to import it in the other one. So I'm already going to go over here and get ready for the import while I'm waiting for the other to download. So I go over here, I'm ready to download it now. Once it turns green, there it is. So I move over here, and I just drag it up, drop it in. All right, I'm going to see if this works. It says, don't close this browser. I'm going to click proceed. The worst I can do is break this site I just created with the click of a button and a couple typing. All right, your data has been imported successfully. Close. 2 more steps. All right, let's go ahead and click on here. Do I have content? Yes, I do. All right, so now I have a local copy and I have a live site. Okay, so if I want to do work, let's say test out a new plugin, I will go over here, I will insert it here, plug it in, and then move it over. This isn't like a live sync, so if I add content here and then I want to mess around with some posts, I might want to just go ahead and export this, import it in here, and then try it. But the other thing is I can use this local site just to see if the plugins work. And if they do, I go over here, install it, and it should work just fine. So there's different ways you can use the importer, but at least at this point now I've got my content and I can begin working on here on anything I want to mess around with. And then I test it on the local one. And then if it looks good, if it works right, then I can export it over here. And I'm ready to go. If you're one of my students, I want you to do the majority of your back-end work, which would be plugins, messing around with CSS. If you do any child themes, anything like that, I'd like you to do it on the local site. Maybe you could show me what you got. And the other thing that's really cool about this is check this out. So let's say I'm going to do work on the site with the plugin. And my live site has content that's new, and my local site does not. So what I'm going to have to do is, first of all, let's make sure I can log in again, because you notice I've logged out. So let's see if the login works, and it didn't, so I have to plug in that new address. Uh-oh. There we go. All right, so I better update that password. So let's say I work on something here and I want to export it to the site. And we have this ad where we can do the same thing. We just do the reverse. This time we would find all instances of the applied web design course website.local, and I can actually just paste it in like that. And then I would replace it with this. So we're doing the opposite. By the way, do this, be very careful. Okay, you can really screw things up if you do it the wrong way, because then it's just going to mess it all up. But here is where the trick is. So what we can do is we can just say, do not export the database. That would be all of our content. And what we could do is we could actually just check everything except for plugins or themes, if that's what you're working on. And so that way, if I check all this where I said do not export, and I leave this unchecked, that means I'm going to export the themes, and here I'm going to export the plugins. So I will try that, but I need to add a new plugin. So let me add a new plugin and see if we can get this to work. So let's just say I want to use the Jetpack for some strange reason. I decide, oh, it's got a lot of stars. I like it. This is great. Let's install it. Let's see if we can go ahead and install it on the local one and export it out to the live one. Not only that, but let's change our theme while we're at it. Okay, I've installed it. Let's activate it here. That was a big file. It's going to be kind of annoying. That means we're going to have a lot of stuff on here. Yeah, let's not do that right now. Let's go ahead and change our themes. So we go to Appearance, we go to Themes, let's add one, and not any of these. I'm going to add a new one, and let's just pick something. we'll just pick a nice little, we'll try this one. Let's go ahead and install it. And then once we install it, we'll activate it. Hopefully this one won't take as long. It's installed. We're going to activate it. See, cannot use. Okay, so already we have a problem. So it doesn't like this, and now I've screwed things up. So let's just try a different one. So we'll add a new theme. Oh, it's not even going to let us do that. Great. So I wonder if that has to do with the version 7. Let's just try activating 2015. Wow, it's not even working on there either. Well, this is another reason why it was important for us to test stuff out. So at this point, we can import. Everything's messed up, right? Oh, it's not even going to let us import? Okay. Wow. Well, that's kind of messed up. Looks like I'm going to have to fix that in here. Well, if I fix it in here, I can get the theme and maybe get everything to work. So let's see if I can do that. Well, I think I have the solution. I just highlighted the error, right-clicked, and told it to search, and it looks like I just have to pull out this from the parameter. Let's see if that's true. Okay, it looks like it's under users, your username, local sites, and then you find it. It's got to be under app, public. Here we go. So at this point, this is your standard WordPress files. So we're going to go over here, and this was themes. So it's WP content, themes, adme, I believe it was the include folder. Yep, and then extras.php. So we got include, and it's extras.php. I'm just going to edit this. Oh, no, let's not. We're going to edit this with open with, and if we have Atom, we'll use it. If not, we will use Notepad++. We do have Atom. Good. That's what I was hoping for. And let's check to see what line it was on. Line 153. So we get Atom open, and then we want to go to line 153. So we're going to do a little Control G, 153, and close that little dude. And it doesn't like this. Let's see if we can pull this out. Save our changes, go back here, hit refresh. There we go. All right, let's go take a look and see what it looks like. Hey, it worked. So we had a little issue. That had to have been a PHP thing here. So that's actually pretty cool. I kind of like this theme. So now I like it. So now I want to export it. So now I'm going to go back to my, I'm going to export this time. And remember, we got to be careful how we do this. So what I want to do is just copy this up until the first slash. I'm going to find that because that's in this site. I'm going to replace it with this. It's basically what we export should be able to just be pulled in directly and have it work, but we're going to have to change because this is actually in the database. So now I'm going to export it as a file. So we're going to go ahead and export that and see if we can import it. But you see, wasn't that nice? I screwed it up on the local site. I didn't even know I was going to do that. This was unintended, right? It's completely accidental. But it shows you just the importance of this. So we go ahead and we grab that. Now we're going to go to the back end here. So go to the dashboard. We're going to get our all-in-one migrator, and we're going to import. And then we're just going to drag and drop this one, let it run, say it's okay. If I screw it up, well, we'll see if I can back it up. I should have backed it up before I did this. That would have been a good thing to do. Well, let's see. Maybe it'll work. Here we go. Click proceed. You know what? I went ahead and moved everything, including the database, but I guess we're okay. All right, so we go ahead and click that it's okay to do it. Now it's going to restore. Give it a moment, and we'll see if it worked. Oh, there we go. Close. Click. And our live site now has the new theme. All right, we did it safely. We tested it first. There was an error. We fixed it. Then we moved it. This is why you don't want a cowboy code. Those cowboys back in the day of web design would actually work on a live site. Can you imagine if that thing was down for the 20 minutes or so it took me to do this? That would have been just wacky. So either way, this is how you do it. Now we have local by Flywheel. We have the MP all-in-one migrator, and we've got a new theme for our site. All in under 25 minutes. All right, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. Talk to you later.